This is breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.
South Central Area Command. You can see the scene to my left. The involved officer is Officer Tierney Tamburo. She is 24 years old and has been with LVMPD since 2020. In this incident, Officer Tamburo was armed with a Sig Sauer P320 9mm equipped with a tactical light. The investigation revealed she fired 4 rounds during this incident. Officer Tamburo is assigned to the Community Policing Division, South Central Area Command. The suspect was identified as Gabriel Charles. He was a 27-year-old Hispanic male adult, 5'8", 165. He is pictured to my left. The investigation revealed Charles was armed with a Smith & Wesson 9mm pistol. The investigation revealed he fired 1 round and the weapon malfunctioned during this incident. Charles's charges, had he survived, are attempted murder with a deadly weapon on a protected person, battery with a deadly weapon, resisting with a firearm, and prohibited person possession of firearm. The details of this officer-involved shooting are as follows. On September 10th, 2022, Officer Tierney Tamburo and her partner were conducting directed patrol enforcement in the area of Flamingo Boulevard and University Center Drive. This part of the valley is known as a hotspot for violent crime. Part of LVMPD's efforts to reduce violent crime and improve the quality of life for residents in this area includes extra patrols by patrol officers. At approximately 1:13 a.m., Officer Tamburo and her partner conducted a vehicle stop on a Buick in the 3900 block of University Center Drive for a traffic infraction. The vehicle was occupied by 3 males, and Officer Tamburo asked them to step out of the vehicle and instructed them to walk back to the marked patrol vehicle. The driver and rear passenger complied to her request and walked to the front of the police car. The front passenger, Gabriel Charles, stepped out of the Buick initially appeared to comply, but prior to a pat-down for weapons, he decided to run from officers as he approached the police car. Officer Tamburo chased after Charles northbound through the parking lot of the apartment complex. Charles produced a handgun as he was running and quickly turned his body and fired 1 round towards Officer Tamburo. Officer Tamburo was struck by the bullet, which caused her to immediately collapse to the ground. She was able to discharge a firearm towards Charles as he continued to run away. Charles was struck by gunfire and fell to the ground. Additional units arrived and performed a downed officer rescue. The officers transported Officer Tamburo to UMC Trauma, where she was treated for her injuries and is currently recovering at home. An incident action team took Charles into custody, and he was transported to Sunrise Hospital, where he succumbed to his injuries. The driver of the Buick was subsequently arrested for DUI. The 3rd male in the Buick was not arrested and was released after being interviewed by our officers. I will now play for you the body-worn camera videos depicting the officer-involved shooting. As a reminder, the body-worn camera videos are silent for the first 30 seconds prior to activation. This is Officer Tamburo at the driver's side of the vehicle.
Feel my finger? And then you look closer. Anyone got weapons or anything you know about, okay? Alright, to the front, to the front, to the front, to the front. Ooh. Hey! Hey! Take over. Yeah. Hey! Don't fucking... No! Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired!
Where you at? Where you hit? Where you hit? Okay, I got you. Right on leg, how far up? Okay, good.
My radio fell. My radio fell. Give me your radio.
I got you, don't worry.
Hi. Hi. I'm going to be off of University Center and Flamingo, the University Gardens. I'm going to be on the north side right when you enter.
This is a still photo of the suspect shooting at our officer. That's the body-worn camera video and the still shot we have. Do you have any questions?
What were the extent of her injuries? Did she say she was shot in the leg? Or can you describe her injuries?
She was shot in the pelvis, which why she immediately went to the ground. And like I said earlier, she is at home, but in a lot of pain.
Will she be able to return to work? And when?
Since it's so early in the in her recovery, we don't know the answers to those questions, but we have every hope that she'll be back to work as soon as possible.
Obviously, these situations develop very quickly. Can you tell me how officers are trained to respond when somebody runs away in terms of whether they pursue, whether they don't pursue, how they protect themselves in incidents like this?
Sure. We have a foot pursuit policy that guides officers and that we train in our advanced officer training school and reality-based training of how and when to chase someone. Since Officer Tamburo was so close to the suspect when he started to run, it's certainly within policy for her to chase after him. If he were to leave the property or go to another complex, jump a fence, then we would probably ask our officers to stop, set up a perimeter, and try to take that suspect into custody that way. But this was a pretty short distance, I think, about less than 200 feet that this foot pursuit went on for.
What's the criminal history of Charles, by chance? You mentioned if he were alive, person with a prohibited weapon.
All I'll say right now is, since we're not going to give out the criminal history today, is that will be available at a later time, and especially from the district attorney's office, and is part of the arrest report, but we're not going to discuss his criminal history right now.
This encounter occurred near UNLV. Was there any involvement from campus security or university police?
No, most of the UNLV police and security are on the other side of Flamingo, so it's really a good distance away, although it's in proximity to UNLV.
You mentioned the gun malfunction. What exactly happened after he was shot at the officer?
Well, that malfunction there is what we call a stovepipe, and so the brass was stuck in the chamber and it had to be manipulated to be able to get that out before you could shoot again. So I mean I can't tell you what he did or didn't do. All I can say is the gun will not fire when it's like that, but there were 14 additional rounds in his magazine.
So if it hadn't been jammed, what do you think? What would have possibly?
Well, I'd be guessing, but I think that we can't anticipate that, and Officer Tamburo did the best she could in those circumstances, but we can't guess to what would have happened from that suspect.
How would you describe or characterize her conduct during this? I mean, she seemed friendly when she was getting the guys to do the pat down, and then he started running, and then obviously the shooting, and then she was still sort of communicating on a radio. How would you describe her conduct overall?
Well, I would say that she's a great example of a hero police officer. She showed her courage. She showed calm under pressure. And I think she did an outstanding job. And we're all very proud of her. I thank you for all your questions. We're going to wrap it up for now. Thanks again.
You've been watching breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.